Hello everyone and welcome back to A Bit Tactical, where today I'm going to be going over two operatives for the Kill Team Aquilon. And that is the Precursor and the Gunfighter, not necessarily because they have some weird synergy together, but more so because I put them in the exact same category as each other, which is the category of finishing people off because of the type of damage that they're able to do. With both of them hitting on threes and having ceaseless, to me, that's almost a guarantee that they are going to get at the very least 2 hits, which is 6 damage potentially through, especially with the Precursor, who is able to strike twice. He's definitely getting 6 damage through as soon as you charge or you drop into combat with somebody. But of course, we're already getting into the guide stuff, and that's why I put the rules read at the end of this video and all my other guide videos, because I just like getting into the actual guide part of it. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Alright, let's get some general strats out of the way, and starting with the Precursor. Since he can drop into combat, obviously trying to do it on people that have already taken damage, so you can do an automatic 6, maybe even 7, maybe even 8 damage. He does have lethal 5 and ceaseless, so that's not too crazy to think that you're going to get 2 crits. With that being said, you're able to finish off models pretty well. And then do that free dash so they can basically get into cover, which could be really nice with this guy. And again, with that free dash that you get after the combat, you could, especially if you finagle around with that marker. In fact, I'm going to show you this video right here. As you can see, you can drop within 3, which is basically a 4-entry position. Remember, wholly within and within with the Tempestus Aquilons. I keep saying it, but it's always worth to remember. And then you fight, get rid of that model, and then you can do a free dash. So it just gives you a little bit of extra movability so that you can get into cover and you're obscured. With this Precursor, keep him alive a little bit longer. The Gunfighter also, to me, fits this role just a little bit better because of his salvo ability. If you drop in on Vantage and you have 2 models that you've already damaged at turning point, which happened a lot, you're able to take 2 shots. In fact, I think in one of my battle reports, it might have been under a battle report or one of the test games I was doing with the Plague Marines or against the Plague Marines, I actually got a situation where I was able to finish off 2 elite models with my salvo. Now, of course, these guys were like at 3 or 4 wounds each, I think. But with a horde team, it's going to be even better because they have usually they have a save that's higher, and you're able to kill them more effectively. So with the Gunfighter, you really have the opportunity to get a lot of shots off, or get one really good shot off. Right? They do have ceaseless and rending. And if you pair that up with your strategy ploy that gives you severe, you basically guarantee 2 crits. Again, you're with ceaseless and hitting on 3s, that means you're rerolling 2. So even if you really mess up the roll, right, you're always going to be rerolling 2 dice at least, because you're either going to miss 2 or you're going to miss with 1s. So ceaseless, hitting on 3s, add rending on there, add severe from a strategy ploy, and this guy can do a lot of damage that is going to probably surprise you and surprise your opponent as well. Then, of course, with dropping, he's obscured, and if you get to manage to get him on cover or on vantage and someone is shooting above at you, you get to shoot right back. And because you're obscured and you're uncovered, you're automatically taking 2 away, and potentially more with your saves. So there's a lot of really good things that could happen with this guy. You could get a full shooting attack back during your enemy's activation, which is always really nice. So that's, to me, what you can do with the Gunfighter and the Precursor. That's not really that special, but just general tips on these 2 guys. Just one more thing to add with the general stuff is that I do think these guys should be up in the air for the most part. If you have some specific idea for them on the ground, even with the Gunfighter, having him on the ground isn't the worst idea. However, for me, to get the full worth out of them, making sure that they're up, especially with the Precursor should be up in the air, 100%. You've got 5 models to work with up there now. He should be up in the air. Then, your gunfighter also should be, because getting those nice shooting angles can be good. And again, since you are able to shoot back at your opponent and potentially get a lot of rolls off from that, I think it's always worth it to put him out there a little bit exposed so that you can bait a few shots. Even if it's not during the turning point where he's obscured, if it's during the next turning point, he can still get a shot back at, maybe do a little bit of chip damage or even get a kill. Okay, so here's where a little bit of the wacky stuff comes in, okay? With the Precursor, here's a little bit of something that you could do, right? So if you actually pair it with the Eye Above strategy ploy, which allows you to parry out 2 of your opponent's dice with 1 of yours when you're in combat, and the Precursor himself comes with the double strike ability, so you can strike twice, you now have somebody that can strike twice with 1 and then use 1 to parry out 2. Which means that you can effectively counter a lot of melee that comes at you if you do a little bit of planning correctly and you get a little bit lucky. Now, against models that don't really have that good melee that you're probably going to kill anyway, this is really effective, right? Now you can kind of guarantee that they're not going to do any damage, right? I'm talking about models that have 3 attacks, hitting on 4s, that 2-3 damage, you know, that profile type. With those guys, you're already probably going to wipe them, but now you can make sure that that 2 or 3 damage that they might have gone through before, now they definitely don't get it through. Then you have your models that have 4 attacks, maybe hitting on 3s or 4s, not too crazy damage, maybe 3-5 damage, 3-4 damage, or maybe even 4-5 damage. But again, it's the 4 attacks that really matter in that hitting on 3s. Some of them also hit on 4s on some teams. However, with both of those, I think the average out with, if you did the math correctly, but I'm not good at math, I just copy what kind your roll of crit says, you're going to get 3 hits. So if that's the case, what you can do with your Eye Above from your strategy ploy and your Precursor is you make sure you go, right? More than likely than not, because you have Ceaseless, you're going to get those 4 attacks. You use 1 to block 2 of his. That 3rd dice that he has, he's going to use it to attack you. And now you've got 3 attacks to go through. Or maybe he'll parry out because he knows you can't do damage. And then you do however much damage you're going to do, which is either going to keep him injured or kill him, depending on the model and the specific situation. But as you can see there, with the 2 examples, you know, the Horde model that has that 2-3 attack weapon profile, and then the 4 attack weapon profile, this is actually really very effective, and it's something to definitely consider, especially if you know that your opponent's going to be very aggressive. That Eye Above could come in clutch if you do it correctly. Now, against, like, I want to say elite models because I see it on a lot of elite models, but really any melee specialist that has that 5 attacks, this isn't going to work as much. Again, they have those 5 attacks. Usually if they have 5 attacks, they're hitting on 3s. They probably also have some access to rerolls. With all that together, this is probably not going to work out. You're just going to be wasting a CP just to get killed. Maybe you do a little bit more damage. Maybe you survive a little bit more. But at the end of the day, is that really worth it? Again, against those type of models, no. But against the models that have the 4 attacks or the 3 attacks, I think it's definitely worth it to consider doing this. Now, when it comes to the Gunfighter, a lot of his stuff is pretty straightforward, right? He has that salvo ability. You can shoot twice with a worse stat, which again, if you're finishing off models with like 2 or 3 wounds, I actually think this is pretty good. But if you're going to try to focus on one person, definitely just take the other. That extra shot isn't really necessary for these 2 guys. So yeah, I really like these 2 operatives. These 2 operatives, I think, are, I'm not going to say like they're fairly unique within the entirety of Kill Team, but I think these are like nice little additions to this team that may give them a little bit of an edge in specific scenarios, but they aren't so overpowering that, you know, the team feels bad to play against or with. But yeah, that's it, guide people. Remember, I do like you better than I like the rules read people. Definitely don't look at the rules read people's outro. And I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment if you want to say something. But now we're going on to the rules read. All right, let's start out with the Aquilon Precursor. He's got the normal stats: 2 APL, 6-inch move, 4 up save, and 8 wounds. He's got access to the Hotshot Las Pistol, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3-4, range 8, and his Tempestus Daggers, which are 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3-4, lethal 5, and ceaseless. He has the Vicious Knife Fighter passive, which is whenever this operative is fighting, after resolving your first attack dice during that sequence, you can immediately resolve another before your opponent. This basically means you can attack twice, which basically means that if you do have 2 hits when you're fighting somebody, you can guarantee that you're doing at the very least 6 damage, potentially as high as 8 damage before your opponent even gets a chance to do anything like fight back or parry. He also has the dynamic ability, which is whenever this operative performs the shoot or fight action, it can immediately perform a free dash action afterwards. It can do so even if it's performed the charge action during this activation, but can only use any remaining move distance it had from that charge action to a maximum of 3. So obviously, if you drop from the sky, you didn't actually do the charge action, you're just dropping down. But if you did kill the model that you drop down on, you can then perform that free dash. Or if you're shooting and fighting outside of dropping, you can also perform that free dash, which is really cool. Also, one more thing to note, the Precursor can, when using the drop marker ability, the main faction ability of the Tempestus Aquilons, he can drop into the combat range of enemy operatives, unlike the rest of your team. That is part of the faction rule. It's not on his data card, so that's why you're not seeing it in the text right now. Next up is the Gunfighter. Again, same stats, 2 APL, 6-inch move, 4 up save, 8 wounds. He's got a few different weapon profiles. The Hotshot Las Pistol, which is the focus version, 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4 damage, range 8. Ceaseless, which means you can re-roll multiple dice so long as it's one character, which is to say you're hitting on 3s, so if you roll 2 2s, you can re-roll both of those 2s, or if you roll 2 or 3 1s, you can re-roll all of those 1s. And then you have Rending, which is if you have retained a crit, you can then retain another crit, or you can change a hit into a crit. He also has the Hotshot Las Pistols, the Salvo version, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3-4 damage, range 8, Salvo, and the Salvo ability is select up to 2 valid targets, shoot with this weapon against both of them in an order of your sequence of your choice, roll each sequence separately. So it's up to 2 valid targets, which means you can shoot one guy twice if you want to. He also comes with the Gunfight ability. Whenever an enemy operative within 8 inches of this operative shoots this operative, keep track of each attack dice that's discarded as a fail. After the action, before incapacitated operatives are removed, including this one if relevant, this operative can perform a free shoot action. You can change its order to engage to do so, but it can only target that enemy operative with its Hotshot Las Pistols focused, and you can only roll a number of attack dice equal to the opponent's discarded attack dice plus 1 to a maximum of 4. So your opponent goes with his attack dice. Let's say he only gets 2 hits through, and the 2 are discarded as fails. Those 2 plus 1 dice are now your attack roll back at him, even if he kills you. So he can kill you, you then get a free 3 attack dice back at him using your focus profile, which again is Ceaseless and Rending. So that's actually pretty good. All right, rules read people, that's it for this video. Remember, I like you a hell of a lot better than I like the guide people. I hate that I have to spend so much time on that portion of the video. I wish all my videos were about 2 minutes and 30 seconds long every single time. Anyways, that's it for me and this video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.